Standing by, the Terry and Ted podcast is sponsored by the UPS Store Canada.
Wednesday, October 30th. I'm Terry DeMonte and Ted Bird is across the desk from me, and neither one of us have a Halloween costume on.
That just occurred to me as you said Wednesday, October 30th. I know that in the lobby of the studio there's a Viking helmet. Maybe I should go get that.
That's okay.
Although the last time I wore a Viking helmet, Sam Bird was born 9 months later.
Okay. I'm sure you're...
So there's a visual for you. Me with a Viking helmet and nothing else on.
Did Sam listen to the podcast?
I don't know. He should.
Yeah, well, I hope he doesn't hear that story.
Sam's very busy. Yeah, that wouldn't be so good. Though.
Yeah. Hmm?
He's 25 now.
Yeah, he's all right. He's a grown man. Yeah. How are you? Everything good?
So far, so good. And yourself?
Okay, good. Just fine. Good morning to you if you're having your first coffee with us and listening to the podcast. A lot of people keep telling me that, and we appreciate that a whole bunch. Just before we thank our good friends at the UPS Store Canada, we'll remind you, you can email us now, and we do read the email. You just answered a letter about your tattoo, Ted.
That's right. Somebody wanted to know about, I don't know if you can see that on the thing. Well, if you're listening, you can't see it.
Can't see it
it's
anyway.
A family coat of arms. It's the Bird family coat of arms. But what I found out after I got the tattoo is that it's the wrong family. It's the right family name.
Right.
What I have, though, is the Bird family coat of arms from England. Uh-huh. My family came from Northern Ireland. So the good news is we're Protestant. So I have the cross of St. George on my arm. Right. If I were Catholic, I'd have to cut my arm off at the elbow. Or wear long sleeves if I ever went to Ireland. Because they'd be having no part of that.
Yeah, I think you told the listener that in the email. I'd have to cut my arm off. Anyway, the email address is standingbythepodcast@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, on Instagram, and we do have a Twitter account, and I know a lot of people follow us on Twitter. Ted and I both have our own personal accounts, but there is the Standing By Podcast account also. So if you want to engage us social media-wise, please do. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, I think we've answered. If we haven't answered your email, it's because it slipped through the cracks, because we make a point of answering every one.
Yeah, and now that I'm all set up at home, thanks to Jess, I check them every day. We want to thank the good people at the UPS Store Canada, our title sponsor of the Terry and Ted Standing By podcast. You can go online to the upsstore.ca. I encourage you to go online and have a look at their business blog. They've got a lot of really good tips there for people who are running small businesses, for entrepreneurs who may be running businesses out of their homes. A lot of people that have small businesses at the house are frequent visitors to their local UPS store because the UPS store can help you with just about any aspect of running a small business from home. And as an added bonus, at least I think it's an added bonus, the guy at the UPS store or the gal at the UPS store is an entrepreneur just like yourself, because they're all independently owned and run according to the edict that comes from David and the people at head office, meaning you will be served with a smile, and they will endeavor to do anything they can to solve the problem you might have.
We like to trumpet how much we support local businesses, and you might say, well, the UPS store, that's a corporate endeavor. In the big picture, but at a local level, all the UPS store franchisees are all local business people who live in your community.
Yep. And there are now over 400 locations. So whether you're shipping a vase to Aunt Mary, or you need to have some...
Or a pound of hash to Uncle Fred. Kidding.
Yeah,
sorry,
joking.
David.
Yeah. Or you've got a problem with shipping out hundreds of packages at a time, or receiving packages, or you need a mailbox, or you need packing peanuts, whatever it is you need, the UPS store is there. The upsstore.ca. Well, shall we start on our topics?
I can't wait to hear about your trip to New York, because it looked like it was, it looked like it was a New York trip, the best and the worst of everything.
It absolutely was. That is a perfect description. Jess and I were watching CBS Sunday Morning about a month ago, and we saw a commercial for a Broadway play called Left on 10th. And it stars Peter Gallagher and Juliana Margulies. And Jess is such a massive fan of the OC, a show from the 90s. She actually, when we were living in BC, just after COVID, it was one of the TV series we binged. And Peter Gallagher played a character called Sandy Cohen. He played the dad in that. And Juliana Margulies has been in everything. Another series we binge watched together was The Good Wife. So when we saw the TV commercial for Left on 10th, Jess said, "Oh, I would really love to see that." And I said, "Let's go. I'm retired. Let's go." And Jess is still working, so it's a little bit tricky scheduling-wise. So we booked a hotel and we booked our flight, and off we went to New York City. When we got to the hotel, I immediately, when you walk into a hotel lobby and you either get a good vibe or you not a great vibe. This had a sort of a college dorm vibe to it.
Where was it?
Right in Times Square.
So Midtown.
Yeah, Midtown, right around the corner from the theater. That's why we picked it.
Right. And
I picked it because it was a big chain.
Yeah.
And on the website, I thought, well, that looks like a decent room. We weren't looking to live like Elton John for, a couple of nights. We just wanted a clean, nice place to crash. So I booked the hotel. We go upstairs. And when the elevator door opens, I immediately get college dorm vibes because the hallway is tiny. Like 2 people could not pass each other with a suitcase in this hallway.
Wow.
And I thought, this isn't a good sign.
No.
And we went around the corner and we opened the door to 1202. And when I looked at the room, I thought, there's got to be some kind of mistake. Like this room was about 160 square feet. Now, I don't know if you know how big that is, but...
Well, isn't an average hotel room about 300?
Yeah.
And that's even a bit on the tiny side, is it not?
300 can be big in some hotels.
Yeah.
But at least 253.
Yeah, so 160 is a small room.
160 is a closet.
Wow.
And the name of the hotel was Frumpton Suites. So we went back downstairs and I said, and the guy looked at us like, yeah, we know. She said, all the rooms are the same size. They're all the same size. So when I booked the hotel, and the reason I'm telling you this story is because, yes, I'm a bit spoiled. I'm not used to staying in a college dorm. I'm a 66-year-old man who's had a little bit of success. So I don't...
You know what a nice hotel room is.
Yeah. I'm not staying at the St. Regis in New York.
Yeah.
But
you don't want to stay at Motel 8.
Yeah, I'd like to be able to open the shower door when you open the bathroom door. Like it was one of those things where you had to close one door to open another door. Like those days are gone for me, and Jess. And so we're staying in this hotel, and I review my booking to see if it says anywhere on the website. There's no mention of the suites being the closets. Like there's no mention that all of the rooms are this big. There's no mention of how big the rooms are.
Did you not read any TripAdvisor reviews or anything?
No,
on it?
I should have.
I always do that. I always do that.
I should have. We read them after, and a lot of people gave it a great review, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah. And here's the other thing I'm telling you this story because hotels now have not all of the hotels, but a lot of hotels now have created this 3-card Monte game with the rate. So I booked the rate. When I booked the hotel, the rate was $293 a night. Okay? When we checked in and I confirmed the rate, the first night was $598 US for a closet. The second night was $293 as quoted. The third night was $403. So the rate...
And is this all U.S.?
Yes. Fuck. So the rate shifted based on demand. So when I said $598 for this tiny closet you have us in? They said, yes, sir, it's a Saturday night. And I thought to myself, yeah, and what? You quoted me $293. So the hotel bean counters at head office are moving to a model, not all of them, like I've been treated more than kindly at many hotels.
Including hotels from this particular chain.
Yes, like Paul at the Fairfield at the Dorval, beautiful, clean hotel.
Yeah.
Not a spectacular, not a fancy pants hotel, but one where you could,
You can open the shower door without having to close the bathroom door.
Yeah, exactly. I could, in this room, to give you an example, I could throw a towel from the shower to the bed. That's how packed in everything was. Anyway, I'm not telling you because woe is me. Lucky us, we went to New York. We saw an amazing play called Left on 10th. And much to Jess's delight and mine, we met Juliana Margulies and we met Mr. Marshall.
I saw the pictures.
Yeah, after the show. It was absolutely terrific. They couldn't have been kinder. They couldn't have been nicer. It was the highlight of the weekend for us. But I'm telling you the story because hotels are now moving to floating rates. So be careful when you book your room. Make sure that one night isn't this price and one night isn't that price. And listen, if this is not a new thing, it's news to me. But I'm just telling you, be careful because it's now becoming, I used to say the rent-a-car companies are the biggest thieves in the business. Now you have to be very, very careful when you're traveling when it comes to hotels. And we've had the same experience with a floating rate, even in Vermont. It's one rate for this night, one rate for that night, and they don't tell you that. And when you're checking out, they go, yeah, well, it was Saturday. So, and I want to read you this because I filled out the survey to give you an idea of, corporations these days. I filled out the survey. They send you a survey saying, so how was your stay?
It sucked.
You're stuck. So I got this note back from, obviously, corporate. Here's what they sent me back. Terry, let me put my glasses on for this one. It's unfortunate that your experience did not meet your expectations. The team strives to provide a comfortable and enjoyable stay, and it's clear that this time we fell short. The feedback on the room description and the overall environment has been noted. The team values this input to ensure improvements can be made.
Jeez.
In other words, fuck off.
How disingenuous can you get, eh?
In other words,
yeah.
we don't want to hear your opinion, pal.
Yeah.
Anyway, So if you're traveling, if you're going to New York, highly recommend Left on 10th. What an amazing play. And the other thing we fell for, too, was Jess got a reservation at a restaurant that's highly sought after called Becco. And it's run by Lydia Bastianich and her son, Joe Bastianich. Joe, you may know from the chef show that Gordon Ramsay has. His name's escaping me right now. And Lydia is a highly respected cookbook author, beautiful, lovely Italian lady who has cooking shows and cookbooks, and we just love her in our house. So Jess uses a lot of her cookbooks and stuff, and we thought, we'll go to Becco. It'll be a great experience. And we got taken in by the celebrity thing. The food was awful.
Wow.
And the service was hurry up and eat and get out.
That's so disappointing.
Yeah, I was really disappointed by that. And I know I sound like a, Cal complainer, but I just be aware that if you go to these places like Vegas or New York, if you're lucky enough to travel, if you go to these, hepped up, hard to get into fancy pants restaurants.
Listen, as a consumer, you have a right to complain. If
Yeah,
you don't
I
feel
do.
like you're getting
Yeah,
your money's worth,
I
you
do.
have a right to complain.
But I sometimes think that, people are listening and going, you spoiled brat, shut up. But if you're traveling, I just want to give you a heads up. Like we're going to England in December, and when we got home, Jess said, we better double check the hotels we booked. We better look closer at the hotels.
Look, go to TripAdvisor.
Yes.
TripAdvisor is a great website for reading hotel reviews. With your permission, I would like to complain on your behalf.
Yes, please do.
When Terry told me last weekend, he was regaling me on text with the stories of his shit hotel stay. In my head, I started to write the Terry DeMonte version of Frank Sinatra's New York, New York. And I got so carried away that I ended up writing like half the song. And then I found it on YouTube. And I've been practicing all week.
Ted says to me in the car, I'm going to do a tune for you, and I may not hit all the notes. Like I'm driving Tony Bennett to work.
It's not about the singing, though. It's about the lyrics, okay? So put your headphones on so you can hear the mix. Our producer, Matthew, is going to play the...
I hope this is as good as your last album.
All right, well, thank you for indulging me, okay?
Yeah,
But
I'm excited about this, actually.
This is, well, we'll see how this goes, okay? Anytime, Matthew.
Okay.
It's New York, New York, DeMonte style.
Okay.
All set. There we go.
Standing by.
Little finger snap. Big chairman of the board. Here he comes, old Four Eyes.
Remember, he's not going to hit all the notes.
Stop spreading the news. There's no fucking way. I don't want any part of it. New York, New York. This undersized room is all moldy and gray. It smells like someone else's farts and shit. New York, New York. I don't want to wake up in a dingy hotel suite to find bed bugs in my hair and sores on my feet. This 12-year-old bed with urine-stained sheets just cost me $1,600 in old New York. Don't have to take a plane. I'll ride the bus or train. Get me the fuck out of New York. We should have stayed in Hoboken, Sammy. New York, New York. I don't want to wake up in a dingy hotel suite to find bed bugs in my hair, sores on my feet, mouse shit on the floor, piss on the sheets. This undersized room with paper-thin walls. I can hear the neighbors having sex all night. Right here in New York. I don't have to take the plane. I'll ride the bus. I'll take the fucking train. Just get me the fuck out of New York. Get me the fuck out of New York.
Yeah! Bravo, Birdman, bravo.
Oh, Christ.
Nice singing job, too, by the way.
Well, I think I hit most of the notes.
Almost all of the notes. there was one little kind of
Yeah.
a little
Well,
dip in the action
that's
there.
going to happen when you're uneducated. I think the voice is like any other musical instrument. If you don't practice it, it's not
Yes.
going to be great. There's actually there's an opera singer out in Vaudreuil. I believe her name is Danielle, and I'm Facebook friends with her. And I did a karaoke of Sinatra one night at Biggs in Vaudreuil, and I did Witchcraft. And she said, you actually have a nice baritone voice.
Yeah, you do have a
But
nice
you
voice.
have to, so do you. You have the same voice as me. We have that same range. You have to, you'd have to practice it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's like it just was. But again, it was about the lyrics and the urine-stained sheets.
A real tribute to Bernie Taupin. You know, it's nice lyrics.
Speaking of Bernie Taupin,
Yes.
we got a note from Duke Diva 66 on Instagram.
By the way, as we go to this, I just want to quickly say the sheets weren't like it wasn't as bad as in the song.
I was
Exaggerating
a little bit. Embellishing.
Embellishing. Thanks.
So Duke Diva 66 sent a note on Instagram DM. She said, "I love the podcast." She said, "I'd love to hear some of Ted's polkas."
Yeah.
Remember the polkas we used to do back
I
in
used
the day?
to love the polkas.
Yeah, and this being the last date of October,
Yes.
with apologies, I'm going to ask your permission to sing again.
Okay.
Because I want to do a couple of polkas for Duke Diva 66.
Yeah.
I've got an Elton John polka and an ABBA polka.
We should explain, if you never listened to the radio program, Ted every once in a while would go home and come up with a polka on a topic of the day. And
actually, it was more like classic rock artists.
Yeah.
I would just do polkas to their old songs.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, like the Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
It was satisfaction. Can't get no satisfaction. You can't get no satisfaction because we can, because we're rich.
so there you go. That's a little bit of background.
Yeah, so here's the Elton John polka for Oktoberfest and
Very
for
good.
Duke Diva 66.
All righty. We have music for this too? We do.
Goodbye, 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 yellow brick road. I'm going to take the auto route and get there 3 times faster. Honky cat, won't you get back, honky cat? Get back in your litter box, you're pooping on the carpet like a candle, like a candle. You're like a candle in the wind. I throw it in the garbage can and get myself a flashlight. The bitch is back, the bitch is back. Stone cold sober, that's a fact. Maybe if I had a drink, I wouldn't be a bitch. Hey! So that's the Elton John polka.
Very good.
I like the ABBA polka even better though. I
Okay.
was actually cracking myself up this morning when I was rehearsing this. So let's see if I can get through it. This is the ABBA polka.
All right.
Go back to the start, Matthew.
There we go.
Got to get right back to SOS, SOS, darling, can you hear me? I need you to be near me, 'cause I forgot my hearing aid. Fernando, there's something in the air tonight. I told you not to order IKEA Swedish meatballs. Mamma mia, mamma mia, mamma mia, here I go again. How can I resist you in fishnets and a push-up bra? Dancing queen, young and sweet and 17. She said that she was 18, so now I'm in Bordeaux. Hey!
Nice local flair at the end of that one.
All right, I'm done singing.
Are you? Hello? Is anybody there? Anybody left? Hello? That's a nice throwback to the days of the radio show. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, the old polkas.
Yeah, they were a lot of fun. I think they came out of, remember a bit that used to be big called Elevator from Hell?
Yes, I
Yeah,
do.
we used to play. That's one of the ways we give away prizes in the days when radio had prizes.
Yeah.
And we'd play elevator music versions of big classic rock songs, and you had to guess what they were. And it sounds easy, but it wasn't. And I think around the same time you started to do the polkas.
Yeah, I think Jeff Lumby, an old partner of mine.
Yeah.
Jeff is who I worked with before you and I first teamed
Yes.
up. And I think the polka idea, I think he might have done that out in Winnipeg.
Oh, there you go.
And I borrowed it from him. So if I did, Jeff, thank you very much.
Tip of the cap to you, Jeff.
Yeah, poor old Jeff. He's retired in the south of France.
Yeah, poor Jeff. Bonjour, Jeff. Hey, I think we should mention Sugar Sammy, who is a proud sponsor. Well, I don't know if he's proud.
I think he is.
I think he is too. I just talked to Sugar Sammy the other day. He
Terry just stalled. Let me see if I can get him restarted.
Change my batteries. He's in France. And he's doing the France
a beaucoup de talent.
Yeah, that thing. And he's having a ball with it. And he wanted to mention that he is planning his dates. And while I find that email, Ted, perhaps you can regale people with the story of Sugar Sammy.
Well, Sammy, you see, back in the 1900s, Sugar Sammy came onto the local comedy scene, and Terry and I saw him one night. I don't remember where. It might have been at Club Soda, and we said to each other, Jesus, this kid's funny. Yeah, he's really funny. Let's get him in on the radio station. Yeah. So we had him in on the radio show, and it helped up his profile a little bit locally and helped him sell a few tickets. And now he's one of the most successful comedians on the planet, and he never forgot that we helped him. And that's why, part of the reason why he sponsors the podcast.
Yeah.
He wants to help us as well.
I'll tell that story after. It's another story of a comedian I saw in New York who talked about our early days. I never thought we did anything spectacular other than to say to people who were listening to the radio show, hey, get a load of this guy we saw and invite him in. And I guess it helped, it helped move the needle for him back at a time when, radio was a big deal.
And not that it broke them and made them the stars they are today, but
not at all.
It didn't hurt. And it's nice when people remember that. It's nice when people remember who helped them along the way. Sammy would have been a big star in any
without
event.
us. Yeah. He is such a talented guy. He's such a unique talent. Such a very, very Canadian look at the world that translates internationally, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah, well, he can adjust his shows depending on what market he's in. He's famous here for his You're Gonna Rear bilingual shows.
Yeah.
But then he'll do club dates in the States, and he'll adjust his content to whatever city he's in.
Yeah.
And then he'll go to Europe and do France Has Talent. And he just makes these seamless transitions regardless of venue and audience.
And if you're listening to the podcast in a city somewhere across the country, heads up, the Canadian tour is on sale right now, coast to coast. He's going across the country in January and February of 2025. Don't wait. If you wait to buy tickets, you're gonna lose out. If you are living in a market that Sammy hasn't been to yet, go to sugarsammy.com, find the date nearest you, and get yourself a ticket for the Coast to Coast Tour, January and February of 2025. And there are new dates, new shows coming in 2025. They go on sale November the 4th. You can sign up at sugarsammy.com, and we've explained this on a previous podcast. Everyone signed up to the mailing list gets access to the best tickets before they go on sale to the general public. So go to sugarsammy.com, do yourself a favor, locate the date, and go see him. And follow him on social media, on Instagram, on Twitter. He's got a Facebook page. He plays clips from his shows all over the planet, and even those are hilarious and fun.
Yeah, well, they give you an idea what you're in for.
Yeah,
and you're in for... I don't know. What's he do, a 90-minute show?
Yeah, about that. Yeah, about that.
Jesus. When I go to a stand-up comedy set sometimes, or I MC a comedy show locally for a fundraiser, I'll think to myself, Christ, I wonder if I can get 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Wonder if I can churn out 10 minutes.
Yeah, people don't realize that. People don't realize that comedians, when you see them, they're the 5 or 7 minutes that they do, they've been working on for a year and shaving it down, taking 20 minutes of material and shaving it down to the best 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then they've got to come up with new stuff.
Yeah. And Sammy is a master of what they call crowd work.
Yeah.
Like
big time.
Sammy will ad lib and interact with the audience, and he's so fast on his feet, it often produces the best moments of the show.
Yeah, it's such a great night. SugarSammy.com. Get going for the new dates that are coming early in the new year. When I was in New York City, I managed to have a quick conversation with Barry Julian. And Barry Julian said to me, he said...
This is a former Montreal comedian who's now an executive producer of Stephen Colbert. Have I got that right?
That's right. He's been with Stephen Colbert for 17 years. Him and Colbert are very, very good friends. And I was lucky enough to be invited to the show by Barry. We were standing outside the old Ed Sullivan Theater in New York, and Barry and I were talking. And I said, I can't thank you enough. It's very kind of you. And he said, never mind. What you guys did for me when I was a young kid, he said, you put me on the radio with my bad jokes. He said, that should have been against the law. I'll never forget you guys for that. Barry is one of the nicest people you'd ever want to meet, and has gone to, rarefied air.
Yeah, he's an Emmy Award winner.
Yeah, in show business. And his feet are so firmly planted on the ground.
That's so nice to hear.
Hasn't changed a day. And I can tell you, if you're a Stephen Colbert fan, the vibe inside the theater when the Colbert Show is being shot, excuse me, is so wonderful. Those big time network shows can be very intense. There's a lot at stake. But the vibe in the theater was filled with kindness and decency. The crew all seemed to be getting along. And I told Barry that, and he said it all comes from the top, that Stephen Colbert is one of the nicest men in the industry, and it reflects in the theater when if you're lucky enough to go, you'll really, really enjoy it, because what a nice, warm, inviting vibe. He seems like I didn't meet him, but he seems like such a kind and decent man. And Barry said to me, you have no idea what a good and decent man he is.
Who were the guests?
The guests were that lady
and Buddy with the thing.
Yeah. I'm gonna screw his name up. The man who sat in opposition to Putin in Russia, and he died in jail.
Yeah, I know.
Navalny, I think.
They didn't have him there, did they?
No, he wasn't there. His wife was there.
Oh, okay.
She's just written a book, and she was there. And there was another guest that was supposed to be there and wasn't there. So that was a bit of a disappointment.
Right.
Yeah.
So Navalny's widow being on there, that suggests to me that it's not all comedy driven.
No, Steve, if you watch the Colbert Show, he's a political animal, and he doesn't hide that. He's a very religious Catholic man. When we were in the audience, and the audience was invited to ask questions, one of the questions was, who's a guest that you've never had that you'd like to have? And he said, my dream guest is the Pope. Wow. I would like to have the Pope on and do a cooking segment with him.
This particular Pope or any Pope?
Yes, this Pope, current Pope. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of this Pope. I'm not Catholic, so I don't have any skin in the game. It's Francis is the Pope now, eh? Uh-huh. I find he does too much politicking and not enough poping.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, he's like he's the woke Pope.
Duly noted.
Okay.
We'll pass it along.
Francis, did you listen to Standing By this week? Fucking Birdman's ripping you, man.
Hope the Pope doesn't listen to the podcast. Anyway, if you get a chance to go see the Colbert Show, I know I had a connection, and Barry was very kind to me and my wife. But if you get a chance, go see it. It's absolutely wonderful, absolutely terrific. And as I've always said, it comes from the top. Like Colbert's the star, and the kindness comes from the top.
That's great.
Really, really nice.
That's nice to hear.
Nice story. I think we should wish Valérie Plante well.
Yes. All the best. Keep in touch.
Valérie Plante announced last week that she will not be seeking a third term
as the mayor of Montreal.
I have made it no secret publicly that I'm not a fan of her policies. She was very kind to me when I retired. She declared publicly, wished me well on
nice.
social media.
I was not aware of that.
Yeah, and she's a very nice woman, but I do not like what she's done to the city. I think she has changed the city forever. A lot of people on her team will see for the better. I don't agree with that, but one thing I think you have to say is merci beaucoup, because she dedicated the last dozen years of her life to public service. And believe you me, being the mayor of any place is no picnic.
No.
It's not easy, and it's been increasingly difficult in the age of social media. And I don't know who's going to run in her place that hasn't been announced. I'm not sure about what opposition can be mounted to the ideologues that I think are in that party. But Valérie Plante will not be the next mayor of Montreal. And we just want to wish her well and say thank you for the service she brought to the city.
We were speculating on the Morning Show podcast last week, myself and George Santrisos, about whether Sterling Downey might be a potential successor to Valérie Plante.
Yeah.
He's in her party, Projet Montreal, and I love Sterling.
I do too.
Sterling's such a great guy.
Yeah, we've had him as a guest on the podcast, and he's
he's passionate.
Yeah, excuse me, interesting and very, very nice man.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that he shares all of her ideas.
And another question is, can someone named Sterling Downey be the mayor of Montreal?
Yeah.
Can you win with the name Sterling Downey?
I'm not sure.
Or do you have to change that to Stéphane Dufour?
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, it's not a joke. That's an issue.
Yeah, 100%
in Montreal,
it is, yeah.
that is for sure an issue.
I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Has Montreal had an English mayor?
Well, there was
in our lifetime.
Yes, there was. I'm gapping on his name because he was mayor for about 11 minutes, and he.
How long ago?
I don't know how many years ago. I wish we had a crack research team. To look it up, and I may look it up.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, look it up. He was former mayor, I think, of Côte Saint Luc.
Not Michael Applebaum.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
he
was the mayor of Montreal.
He was the mayor of Montreal.
Was he like an interim mayor between elections? Kind of thing?
I can't remember. Somebody resigned. He ended up becoming the mayor. And everybody was very excited. He was the first English mayor in 1,000 years. And he had his hand in the pickle jar and was drummed out of office. Yeah. And it was at a time when everybody was talking about brown envelopes and this and that,
right,
and all of that stuff. And he came into the morning show. And because there had been such a brouhaha about politics and corruption, I said to him on the air, I said, "No skeletons in your closet, right?" And he said, "Absolutely not."
And then ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, about a month later, he was gone. So yeah, he was English mayor for 11 minutes, I think. So to answer your question, I'm not sure, Ted.
Yeah, I haven't asked Sterling if he would be. I should ask him. I should send him a note. He also just joined the Black Watch, eh? Mm-hmm. The Black Watch Regiment, Royal Highland Regiment, as a reservist, and I think he's 50.
And so my question to you is, if you're a reservist at the Black Watch and something happens, do you have to go?
If they tell you to go, you do have to go.
Wow.
Yeah, quite often reservists will be on operational duty in places like Bosnia, Afghanistan, when Canadians were serving there. Yeah, quite often reservists would go there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not out of the realm of possibility that if Canada got involved either as a combatant or a peacekeeper in a combat zone, a conflict zone somewhere in the world, they could tap Sterling on the shoulder and say, "You're up."
He's excuse me. He is robust. And in amazing physical shape.
Yeah.
Do you have to pass a physical to do that?
I believe so. Yeah, you must have to. I can't imagine being, whether it's the reserves or the regular military.
Yeah.
Obviously, in the regular military, you go to basic training, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure he had to pass some kind of physical test. And Sterling
imagine,
would pass it quite easily
Big
because,
time.
he keeps himself in really good shape.
Yeah, because I couldn't be a reservist.
But I wonder if he's got to cut the beard. Because he's got a
question.
big, long hipster,
Interesting question.
big, long hipster beard.
Maybe if you're called to service.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. Because I'd be, if I'd love to help. I'd be like, hey, wait up, fellas. I'll be right there. Hang on, guys. You're marching too fast.
Never mind. Just let the Taliban get me. I don't care.
I'll meet you there. Hey, you want to hear a good story?
I do.
Okay.
I thought those stories were pretty good.
No. I'm not suggesting that these were bad stories. Yeah. I'm suggesting that that I could tell you another one.
You just need to find it on your computer.
Well, you know what?
Do you want me to talk about Merson while you're looking for the story?
That's a great idea.
Because I spoke to Kara this morning, Kara Merson. I called her up. On a personal note, I wanted to find out, I had dropped my car off at the dealer this morning, the car dealer, because there's something that I need, some work that I need to have done. And Charlie at Merson, when I took the car down there and said, Charlie, I got a problem with my my starter. I got one of those push-button starters. Yeah. And he ran a diagnostic on it, and he said, yeah, there's an error code came up. He said, but it's a dealer issue. You have to take the car to the dealer to get this done. I don't know why, but that's part of how Merson operates. They're honest.
Yep.
You know, Charlie could have said, oh, yeah, we'll take care of that for you. That'll be X number of dollars. He said, no, that's not, that's a dealer issue. Take it to the dealer. So I went to the dealer, and I left my car there, and the guy gave me the sheet, and I looked at the hourly rate, and I thought, holy Jesus, that's a lot of money an hour. And then, fuck, I can get therapy for less than that. And so I called Kara just out of curiosity and said, what's your hourly labor rate? And she told me, and it was like significantly cheaper than what the dealer charges.
The big fancy pants guys, they're up. Some of them are up over 200.
Well, that's what somebody else said to me. Like, I drive a particular model of car, and that model, that brand of car has a luxury brand.
Yes.
And apparently if I'd gone to the luxury brand, I'd be looking at even more. Yeah. Anyway, all of that to say, Merson is honest, and Merson is good value for your dollar, and that's why whenever I can, that's where I get my car taken care of, and Terry and I have been going to them forever and a day. And I spoke to Valerie at Merson yesterday or the day before. I called up and said, we're going to do the podcast this week. What do I tell people? And she said, tell them if they want to get their winter tires on and they want to get their tune-up and their oil change for winter, call now.
Yes.
Don't wait till the snow flies. Call now. And even if you call now, chances are you're not going to get an appointment today, but you'll get one within a reasonable amount of time. Once the snow flies and the rush is on, the longer you wait, the longer you're going to have to wait, if that makes any sense.
I called last week, I think on Thursday. Was it Thursday? And anyway, before we went to New York, I called, and I'm going tomorrow. So,
good for you.
Yeah, I'm going to get my snow tires on tomorrow. And it's going to be nice to be back in that swing. When we moved to BC, I had to go find a place. I didn't know anything about anything, and we ended up going to a local, corporate big chain.
Yeah.
And they were nice enough and everything else, but I sat, I would sit in their little tiny waiting room on their, shitty chairs and think, I miss the Mercedes. Yeah. So I'm actually looking forward to it. I'm gonna bring the car in tomorrow.
514-487-5545 and online at mersonauto.com.
I wanted to tell this story. I found this week. This is a story I think will make you smile. Lightning owner, the Tampa Bay Lightning owner, his name is Jeff Vinik, and he just sold the Tampa Bay Lightning. He's the majority of his equity in the NHL club. He sold for $1.8 billion. Jesus. So Jeff's okay.
Jeff's, tag days for Jeff?
No tag days for Jeff.
Well, that's probably not even his biggest. The Lightning was probably a hobby.
But get a load of this. Once he closed the deal, he announced to the organization he will be paying out $20 million in bonuses to the organization's more than 300 employees. He had a meeting with the staff members. They were informed last week they would each receive a gift of somewhere between $50,000 and $66,000. in, quote, recognition of the hard work and dedication that has made this a world-class organization. I'm pleased to announce that all full-time staff will be receiving a bonus from the Vinnick family. Thank you for the role you've played in making the Vinnick Sports Group and the Tampa Bay Lightning an organization of which we can all be proud. Together, we have built something truly special.
Good for him.
How about that?
Yeah. And I think they won 2 Stanley. I believe they won 2 Stanley Cups under his ownership as well.
Yeah.
You know who else did that?
I love stories like that.
You know who else did that and probably still does it at the end of her tour is, what's her name, who everybody loves so much?
Yeah, Taylor Swift.
Yeah. She tips everybody on the tour and tips them big money.
Yeah, I was going to say tip is the wrong word for this. Yeah.
When I was thinking about getting my my Class 1 truck driver's license before I got diagnosed with epilepsy, which means I'd have to wait 5 years to get that license, and by then I'll be 132. The guy who owns Truck and Roll, which is a Montreal company that does a lot of big concert contracts, moves a lot of big artists, and he said to me, "You should have got your Class 1 and gone to work for Taylor Swift." I said, "Why is that?" He said, "Because all the truck drivers got $100,000.
You know what?
That's a nice gratuity.
Yeah. That's not 20% on the tip machine.
Nope.
That's a unique and wonderful. You know what? I love the generosity of it, but I love the acknowledgement that you can't have that kind of success by yourself.
No.
You really do need a lot of good people who are working really, really hard and not living at the lifestyle level that you're living at, and you acknowledge those people like that note about, you've helped build something really special. I think I think that means a lot to people who've worked hard every day, and the 60 grand comes in handy too. Yeah.
And on the subject of tipping, I saw something really interesting. I think it was probably on Twitter, and it might have been a meme, but it was something along the lines of, the farmer grows the food, nobody tips him. The truck driver gets the food to market, nobody tips him. The grocery store worker stocks all the shelves, nobody tips him. But the guy who walks from the kitchen to your table and puts it on your and puts down your plate, you're supposed to give him 20%.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Well, I think
why is that the case?
Well, because the waiter's getting paid like shit. The waiter's getting paid the
minimum wage.
Well, no, less than, because of the quote unquote restaurant wage, and it started there. I don't know what the current setup is, so I may be talking out of my ass. But years and years ago, when you worked in the service industry, you got paid a very low hourly rate, and a lot of people relied on their tips. That's how they survived. Now, I think there's been some changes, and I shouldn't be talking about this without doing my research, but that's where it all started. In an age when they said to the restaurant people, "You don't have to pay minimum wage. You pay whatever you want to pay, and tipping will take care of the rest," in order to help business owners keep their costs low. And the waiters and waitresses really, really, really heavily relied on their tips. And I remember when we were kids, and we snuck into a tavern and ordered the 25-cent draft, if you didn't put 50 cents down, the waiters would throw you out. They
wanted 100% tip?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Well, we were 16.
Yeah.
We were 16, and they knew we were 16.
Oh, so you were kind of paying for not getting carded.
Yeah, and they were kind of showing us the tipping culture.
Yeah.
And I'm a bit of an over tipper. Even
you are, and you always have been.
Yeah.
An easy mark.
Yeah.
When it comes, and that's, there's nothing wrong with that. That's very generous of you. But also, I would never over tip or generously tip someone who gave me shitty service.
No. I don't do that either. But I always, if I have like a superb meal and we have an amazing time, And I always think to myself, I'm lucky I'm in a position where I can have this meal at this restaurant, and I want to acknowledge, the hard work and the service. That's where I come from on it. Although I must admit, when the other night I went to pick up pizzas for me and Jess, and they put the little thing in front of you, and it goes to tip. Do you want to tip?
Yeah, and it starts at 18%.
Yeah.
Now.
And do you want to tip 18, 20?
I'm a 15 guy.
Yeah.
Unless something exceptional happens, like you say. Do you remember what you tipped percentage-wise at the restaurant that disappointed you in New York City?
Yeah, I think 15, because I'm a 20 guy.
Are you? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I felt bad for the servers, because the servers...
But didn't you say they gave you the old, here's your food, eat it and get out?
Yeah. But I think the owners of the restaurant are responsible for that.
Yeah.
They've set up a system where they're trying to turn over the tables as fast as they can, and they're saying to their wait staff, this is what you're going to do. It's not a restaurant where you say to somebody, look, we're not in a hurry. We'd like to enjoy a cocktail. And they push you, because I know the wait staff are getting shit if you stay at the table too long. So I kind of felt bad for them. Yeah, I'm stupid.
What else you got?
Well,
oh shit, there's the tweet sheet.
Yes, there's the tweet sheet to come, and I thought we should mark the passing of Phil Lesh. Phil was 84, passed away peacefully at home. He was one of the founding members of the Grateful Dead. He was the bass player. I was never a Grateful Dead fan. I never understood it.
No, I didn't dislike them.
No.
But I didn't. I couldn't name you a Grateful Dead song. I don't think they were just never on my radar.
And you can't say that to a Grateful Dead fan.
No, the Deadheads.
Yeah, the Grateful Dead fans have already shut the podcast off.
But they're like the band Phish, Phish,
from Vermont.
Yeah, it's a cult thing.
Yeah, people follow them around, and they don't work, and they just follow the band. I assume they don't work. They follow the band around. Anyway, and they were known for being, a sort of marijuana-induced,
counterculture.
Counterculture, thank you. So I was reading this article. I wanted to read this about Phil's passing on the CNN website. And the Grateful Dead disbanded in 1995 after...
Geez, I didn't realize they'd lasted that long.
Yeah, Jerry Garcia passed away that year. And apparently Lesh... he abstained from joining the other surviving members for onstage reunion performances at the end. He did take part in a Grateful Dead tour in 2009, and apparently they did something in 2015. And he had a conversation with the folks at CNN in 2006 during one of the reunion tours, and they asked him to reflect on the feeling of performing with his bandmates. And here's what Phil Lesh said. It's paradise. At that moment, I'm not really there, and no one is. We are the music, and our personalities as such really cease to exist at all. We've been subsumed into the greater personality of the group mind. That's what we've created. That's what's created when we are creatively improvising, and the flow is really happening. When we actually are channeling, we are opening that pipeline to another reality that speaks to us, and we're acting as transformers, and we have to step down into that musical thought. But this is not something you can do consciously, learn how to do, or even be taught. It's just something that happens to you when the stars are aligned properly and when your individual consciousness is open enough. And I thought, there's no more Grateful Dead inscription than that. That's the Grateful Deadiest I've ever. I thought, holy
it doesn't
shit.
get any Grateful Deader than that, does it?
That's really, really something.
That's funny.
Do you think the gang at Richer Jewelers would be able to put a battery in one of my backup watches?
Of course they would.
Okay.
That's where I always get my watch. When my watch needs
Dies?
a new battery,
Yeah.
that's where I go. He also, I've had Pierre clean my.
I didn't know.
Clean my
I'm excited about this.
Yeah, whatever maintenance you need on
Yes.
your watch, Pierre will take care of that in no time flat.
Time for a visit then.
Yeah. Why don't you buy Jess a nice diamond for Christmas?
Yeah,
Or enhance her diamond ring.
Yes. Okay.
You know, get her some additional stones to put on on the band. Spend $4,000. Buy some of the diamonds Pierre brought back from Antwerp earlier this month, and I believe they still have trips to Vegas that they're giving to anyone who buys a diamond from Antwerp. Pierre went to Antwerp earlier this month and handpicked diamonds at the diamond factories in the diamond capital of the world. And if you buy one of those diamonds or some of those diamonds for $4,000 or more, Robert Richer Jewelers will send you to Vegas for 3 days and 2 nights on them.
Wow.
So get the ring.
Yes.
Don't tell Jess.
Yeah, she listens to the podcast.
Oh, okay. Actually, my friend Zach is going to Vegas this weekend.
Is that right?
With his girlfriend Amber, and I said to him, "Go to Robert Richer Jewelers, get the ring. Don't tell Amber. When you get there, pop the question." And then hit one of those drive-through wedding chapels and get married by an Elvis impersonator. And he was like, "Sled, mind your own business." So then I ran it up the flagpole with Amber, and she went, "Do you think he'd do that?" Those two are going to get married. You mark my words.
Okay, marked.
Yeah, Amber said, "Well, why don't you get one of those licenses and you can officiate our wedding?" And I said, "I don't want to officiate your wedding. I insist on being the master of ceremonies at the reception.
Yes,
but please get it officiated by someone with credentials and credibility."
You want to take him for?
You guys.
Where'd the minister come from? Christ.
I thought he was sober.
Anyway,
well, he was.
Robert Richer Jewelers.
Yeah, they'll appreciate the plug. Eh?
Yeah, they sure will.
Yeah.
No, you know what? And we've talked about this on the last podcast about how much we love family businesses. You're going to love these folks. We say you can go online and have a look. You can follow them along on Facebook. They're a lot of fun to follow on Facebook, but for the love of God, go see these people. You'll even if you don't leave there with anything in your pocket, you will leave with a smile on your face and a really nice feeling.
Yeah, nice people, beautiful shop, and quality products and services.
Yeah.
RobertRicher.ca. Or, as Terry says, their Facebook page is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And they have an Instagram account as well. And Linda does a lot of videos where she talks about different trends in jewelry, and she's so pretty.
Yeah. She's such a lovely lady.
Yeah,
Just a
she
lovely
really is.
lady.
She's a classic French-Canadian woman who, if she's going to go to the store to buy milk, she spends 3 hours getting ready. So she looks like $1 million when she goes into Provisoire to get some milk.
Yeah. She's not going out in her pajama pants.
No.
Robert Richer Jewelers are on Fling Flong Road.
309 Dorval Avenue in Dorval.
Sure, they appreciate this. Thank you, everybody. We appreciate that. We're going to do the tweet sheet, and let's do that.
It's a Halloween-themed tweet sheet. What with this being Halloween.
Okay.
The 31th of October, I found 3 Halloween-related tweets on the X/Twitter platform that I thought might. Oh, it's October 30th. What am I talking about?
That's all right. It doesn't matter because it's a podcast. You can be listening anytime. If it's Christmas, this was for Halloween.
There you go. From @McNasty. Halloween is my favorite holiday because you can trespass on a stranger's property and make a non-negotiable demand without getting in trouble. And that's true, isn't it?
Very true.
Yeah, you can't go November 1st and knock on somebody's door and say, "Give me a Snicker or I'm going to burn down your shed."
Avez-vous des Pop-Tart?
From @TweetPotato314. Imagine having a heart attack on Halloween and getting CPR from a guy dressed like a banana. Honest to God, if it hadn't have been for Mr. Banana, I wouldn't be here right now. The guy saved me. And from at your Lucky Clover 7, me, hits spider web down with a broom. Spider, wow. Me, puts up fake spider web decor for Halloween. Spider, wow.
Your Lucky Clover. How do you find these?
I don't
accounts?
know.
Hey?
I don't know. I Googled funny Halloween tweets, and a list of them came up. Yes.
Got to have my batteries changed.
Go see Pierre.
Yes. I wanted to say hi to regular listeners of the podcast just very quickly. And that would be Jeff Bartlett is a regular. Fuffus is a regular listener. Every time the podcast drops, I usually hear from him like that afternoon, like Wednesday afternoon. So thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it. Nice keeping in touch. And you know who else loves our podcast is Val Mills.
Oh, yeah, your buddy Tim's wife.
Long time friends,
Yeah.
Tim and Val. Val does some commuting between her, she lives outside of Toronto, back and forth, and she loves the podcast. I always get a note from her, too.
I can't think of Tim without thinking of you imitating him, imitating the guy at the transport company. Can you do that?
Well, I'm going to screw it up.
No, you're not.
Every time I forget the name of the transport
Transportable bien.
I don't know if that was it.
No, it was.
Was it?
Transportable bien.
Yeah, Tim used to crack me up because I didn't even know this. Tim used to work at Winchester, the gun place. There was a gun place in Saint Laurent, like a warehouse full of guns and ammunition. That this was years ago, back in the late 70s, early 80s. And Tim was responsible for making sure that things got shipped to the right place. He was in charge of shipping. So he would always have to call this one place. And, when you call a place, it's always, good afternoon, Simons. Or, bonjour, est-ce que je peux aider? And he would call the transport company, and a guy would go, bon bien transport, bonjour. You could just picture this big hulking guy in the warehouse going, God, yes, I got to answer the phone again.
No. Transportable bien. No. Pose-lui. Peut-être demain. Peut-être la prochaine semaine. Je sais pas, monsieur.
Pour cet après-midi? Non, je pense pas. Anyway, it's a bit of an inside joke, but
it's funny.
Yeah,
anyone from around here is going to get that.
Not from around
Jesus,
here.
that used to make me laugh. Transportable bien.
By the way, did you know that the Corona Theater is now the Beanfield Theater?
I became aware of that when you went to the Beanfield Theater for the thing you went for.
Yeah. I don't know. What is the Beanfield? Do we know that?
I don't know. It sounds like a lead into a fart joke.
Yeah. Excuse me.
You been to the Beanfield? Yep.
It sounds like a theater that you'd find in Saskatoon. You know what I mean? For me, it just didn't kind of fit. I'll have to look into the history of it because I was hosting an event at that theater, and I called the guy and I said, I'm on Notre Dame in front of the Corona. He goes, yeah, that's the Beanfield. Just come around the back. I said,
does it still say Corona on the facade? Oh, it does,
so
eh?
It's a bit confusing.
They might want to work on that.
Yeah, and I was really glad that I was invited. I want to say thanks to the folks. The Quebec English School Boards Association invited me to host an event they had the other night where Jean Charest spoke. And Mr. Charest is God, is he a good speaker. I don't know if you remember the speeches he gave during the 95 referendum.
I do.
He's still got his fastball.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Just really, it's too bad he's not in public office.
He's on a podcast. I was talking earlier about the Morning Show
let's plug
podcast
it.
with George Santrisos that I co-host. George also does a very popular and influential French podcast called Politiquement Parlant.
Oui.
And they had Jean Charest on earlier this month.
I watched some of it.
It was a coup because Charest keeps a low profile
He sure
these
does.
days.
Yeah.
And it's tough for legacy media to get their hands on him for any amount of time. But he went on Politique Parlant with George and George's friend. Oh, cripes, I can't remember the guy's
That's okay.
the co-host name.
Yeah.
Anyway, long form interview. I don't know how long, like an hour and a half.
Yeah, that's why I said I watched part of it because
Yeah.
I couldn't finish it because I had other stuff I had to get to. But I'm going to go back to it because if you're a political junkie, highly recommend this interview. And like I could listen to Jean Charest all day.
And Quebec media were reporting widely on George's podcast.
Really,
like
eh?
Jean-François Lisée wrote a whole column in Le Devoir about that show and about what Jean Charest said during that show.
Yeah, he still has an impact, and because he's been keeping a low profile, when he speaks, it almost carries more weight.
Yeah,
so good on those guys.
George said it was a real eye opener about the change that we've seen, and not for the better in political leadership.
Yep.
Like Charest is an old school, dignified political leader,
colleague of Mr. Mulroney's.
Yeah,
a minister in his government.
There you go.
Well, give the name of the podcast one more time, Ted.
Politiquement parlant.
Okay, there you go.
How do you like that accent?
Très bon. The other day, Jess and I were watching Sunday football just a couple of days ago, and power went out. And I thought, geez, this is a little more frequent than we've become accustomed to. Again, because we live up north.
Was it windy?
Really windy.
So what happens? Trees blow down onto the power lines?
Yeah, that's what happens because there's so many trees. You live in the country, there's a lot of trees.
Yeah.
And we hadn't had our generator hooked up yet. And that reminded me that we should talk about our friends at Accutech Electric because 'tis the season of the generator, and it's becoming more top of mind. It's a topic that more people are talking about because as you know, the community grows and there's more people here and the power grids get, I'm not suggesting our power grid is in trouble, but if you live in NDG, you know about power failures. There's a lot of them. And I'm not suggesting if you live in an upper duplex that you need a generator. But if you've been considering a generator, you'll want to talk to the people at Accutech Electric.
They work in conjunction with Generac.
Yes.
And Accutech themselves aren't going to install your generator, but they can give you some solid advice
on where to go,
who to talk to, set you up with Generac. And anything else you need in terms of electrical work, whether you're residential or commercial, Accutech takes care of it for you.
Yeah. Friend of mine was just getting ready to do some renovations and said to me, what's that electrical company that you guys talk about? And I said, it's Accutech. It's a family business started in 1995 by Tom's dad. And Tom and Trish and the gang there now will take care of residential jobs, commercial jobs. So if you've just bought a house that you're stripping and you need a new, electrical box, there are a lot of houses in the Montreal area that have been around for a very, very long time. And when you open the fuse box, you go, I don't know. So this is something that Accutech can help you with.
Yeah, and you don't want to be looking at that yourself with a fork poking it in there. You might want to call Tom and have him come over and check it out for you.
Yeah, it's not something that I would tackle, nor is it something that I should tackle. Because let's be honest, you don't want to set the house on fire.
No.
A lot of people rely on relatives and good friends who say, "Yeah, I can do that for you," and that's not the way to go. Talk to the folks at Accutech or go to their website, Accutech. That's ACUTECH.ca, and the website is full of things that will answer your questions. But again, this is another family business. You call them, you'll know right away you're in good hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you call them and you get them.
Yeah. I called the Merchants the other day and they have a recording now, but it's a recording that just to answer the phone for,
Yeah, please stand by and we'll be right with you. And they are.
They're right with you.
Yeah.
And Val couldn't have been nicer.
Well, today I got Kara, the owner.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
So... Yeah, when you call these places and because my buddy who wanted to talk to Accutech sent me a text saying, "Hey, I called them and they were so nice." Like you get that vibe right away.
Yeah.
Accutech Electric. That's ACUTECH.ca. Thanks to them for being a sponsor of the program. Ted, you're a big baseball fan. Oh, well, you don't have Netflix.
I don't have Netflix, no,
shit.
and I'm not as big a baseball fan as I used to be.
Oh, okay.
I still love the game. I'm not as big a fan of the sport, if that makes any sense.
It does. Have you been watching the World Series?
Not really, no. I know what's going on, but I haven't been watching it. Too busy watching the Giants lose.
I was going to say, you didn't switch away from the Giants last night?
No.
Christ, they can't close, eh?
No. They can't even open.
Well,
they suck.
But last night, a couple of times, they got to the 15-yard line, 20-yard line, and they come away with either nothing or 3 points.
Yeah, they're just bad. They're just a bad football team.
Yeah.
But as I've said before, I've seen them win 4 Super Bowls in my lifetime.
Yes.
Anything else is gravy. It's like being a Canadians fan.
Yeah.
They haven't won in a long time, but we're old enough that we remember. Did you see the Canadians old timers?
Yes.
At the Bell Center?
Yes.
From the late 70s dynasty all come out?
Yeah.
How great was that?
It was great. Yeah. The Giants coach, he looks like he's coming apart.
Brian Dable. Oh, yeah. He is. You can tell. Yeah.
I shouldn't laugh. I feel bad for him. But last night I thought,
you know what? He's done a shitty job this year.
Yeah.
And I texted my son Sam is a big Giants fan as well. I texted Sam last night and said, fire them all.
Yeah.
And Sam texted me and he goes, I feel so sorry for my son who's not born yet. Because it's 3 generations. My dad was a Giants fan. I'm a Giants fan. Sam's a Giants fan. His kids will be Giants fans.
New Yorkers love losing.
They
love watching that. Yeah. Anyway, listen, if you're a baseball fan and if you're a fan of great storytelling, I highly, highly recommend that you watch The Comeback on Netflix. It's 3 parts, and it's so good. It's such great storytelling.
2004 Red Sox?
Yes. And it's the story from the beginning of the season and the hiring of baby Theo and the firing of Grady, I think was his name. Grady, who left... he left Martinez in too long, and they got... Anyway, I'm doing a bad... They do a much better...
they tell the story better than that?
Thank you.
Hard to believe.
Much, yeah. Hard to believe. It's full of great characters. It's full of great insight, and it's behind-the-scenes footage that I don't know where they got it from, and it's just a delight to watch. Even if you're not a Red Sox fan, it's really, really... It's a great story.
Yeah.
That story of the Red Sox futility for all those years and how it...
And 2004 was the year it ended, I think. I think it was their first World Series championship since like 1918 or something like that. Yeah. I said on Twitter the other day that it's counterintuitive, but the languid pace of baseball, like people who don't like baseball go, baseball. Yeah. It's so slow and boring. But if you watched Game 1 of the World Series and saw Freddie Freeman hit that walk-off grand slam home run... Yeah. No sport generates playoff drama
like that.
The way that baseball does. And the slow pace of the game is part of the reason it generates that drama because it goes from 0 to 100 in a split second. Yeah. And that's what happened when Freddie Freeman hit that ball out.
Are you a fan of the clock? The
pitch clock?
Yeah.
I don't know enough.
Okay.
I don't watch enough baseball to have been able to make a judgment on it yet.
Did you know the Canadian connection with him? I didn't know that story until
Freddie
this
Freeman?
weekend. Yeah.
No.
His mother is from Ontario, and he wears long sleeves because his mother died of melanoma, and it's a tribute to her. And every year in whatever the tournament is, he plays for Canada.
Oh, nice.
As a tribute to his late mom.
Did not know that.
Yeah, really, really interesting story. And we're out of interesting stories, so it's time to wrap it up. That's very subjective if our stories were interesting. We hope you found them interesting.
Yeah.
This episode had singing.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy. It was terrific.
I hope it didn't drive you away. It was about the lyrics.
People hitting the fast forward button in the car. New York pilot. No, it was terrific, Ted. Our thanks to the UPS Store Canada, to our good friend Sugar Sammy, to our good friends at the Mersons, Robert Richer Jewelers, and the good people at Accutech Electric. Thank you. Remember, you can send us an email note at the podcast place going. Standing by the podcast
at gmail.com.
There you go. We'd love to hear from you, and you can follow us on social media. My thanks to Matthew. Our thanks to Pantelis and Mike Ward and the Pantelis Comedy Network. Don't forget, another episode coming out next week.
Standing by, the Terry and Ted podcast has been brought to you by the UPS Store Canada, delivering full-service solutions for your small business.